Hi everyone and welcome to Protocol 36. Even though we don't have a lot of news and updates when it comes to Marvel Spider-Man 2, and with the state of play being recently announced, hopefully we might get something done. But in the meantime, I wanted to make some predictions for both the ending and the post-credit scenes for the game, which was also suggested by Justin Ayala. But before we get started, if at any point you enjoyed this video, I really appreciate if you could drop a like, as that would really help out the channel. Thank you. Now let's jump in. So obviously before we start talking about the post-credit scenes and how many there could be, let's talk about the ending and what it could look like. Personally, one of the major things I think that will happen in the ending is of course Harry's death, whether or not he's officially going to be Venom, and how it would affect Peter overall. However, if Venom in this universe is going to be Eddie Brock like he always was in the source material and other adaptations, then it's safe to say that he will most likely live. When it comes to Kraven's fate, I think it could definitely go either way. I'm leaning towards that he might live, and then someday might even use the character again in the future, and heck, probably even put him in the Sinister Six team, which is definitely possible. And even though a lot of bad things will happen to Peter and he will go through some dark stuff, and with there being confirmation that the game will be darker, and even Bill Risman comparing it to Empire Strikes Back, which had a bittersweet ending, so I do think whatever the ending is going to be, it will be darker than the first one. And even though we will see this Peter Parker grow and face his demons, I think by the end he will definitely be more scarred than he was before. And if that's the case and what I'm saying is true, then it's going to be really interesting to see what it's going to be like when he has the black suit on, and what kind of dark places it will take him, which of course those scars will transform Peter into a better hero than he ever was before, continuing to try his best to make his aunt and uncle proud. And when it comes to the post-credit scenes, I think it's safe to say that the game will most likely have two of them. One of them will most likely be about Norman Osborn becoming the Green Goblin. In the last two Spider-Man games by Insomniac, both first post-credit scenes did in fact have Norman Osborn. Obviously those scenes were used to set up Venom, but of course this time for Marvel Spider-Man 2, I think we could all agree that the next one will set up the Green Goblin. How they would do that, I think in my opinion the most obvious is having Norman actually create the Goblin Serum. So not only does he stand a chance against Spider-Man in a physical fight, but also make him insane. Whether or not they would give him a dissociative identity disorder like they did in the Raimi trilogy or in the 90s Spider-Man show. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Insomniac does do that, since they did take a lot of inspiration from Spider-Man 2 when it came to Doc Ock. So it's definitely possible they will do the same when it comes to the Green Goblin. Could also use that post-credit scene in order to have Norman find out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, which would 100% be a massive deal, since every Spider-Man fan knows how much of a problem Norman is when he finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, as it was the major thing that led to Gwen Stacy's death. So having Norman find out in the post-credit scene would actually be a perfect cliffhanger. And when it comes to the second, they could do something similar to the first game, where it's about Miles Morales, potentially setting up his second game, if of course Insomniac chooses to do that, as I don't think Miles' story is over just yet, unless they give him his own side missions, especially involving Aaron Davis, his uncle, which I wouldn't be surprised at all if it happens in Marvel Spider-Man 2. As in the first game, the second post-credit scene was of course when Miles showed Peter that he had spider powers, which then had Peter revealing his own secret identity to Miles. And even though back then we just thought that they were setting Miles up as Spider-Man, which was obviously true, but it also set up his actual game. So a post-credit scene about Miles Morales is definitely possible. However, another possible theory could be that maybe the next post-credit scene could be about setting up Carnage, though to be honest I think this has the lowest possible chance of happening, but it would be a surprise and one that I would welcome, assuming it's done properly and in a way that is organic. However, if not, it won't be a big deal to me, as I don't think there's really a rush to set up Carnage, especially right now that they're introducing their own version of Venom. However, speaking of Venom, a post-credit scene about the character potentially setting up his return, or even a potential game like they did with Miles Morales, could actually be possible, assuming Insomniac does also want to do a game about Venom, and if Venom is alive by the end of the game. Like I mentioned before, if it is Eddie Brock, then he will most likely survive, but if not and it's just Harry, then safe to say it won't happen. However, if they do give Venom a post-credit scene by the end of the game, then I think it's more likely that it will probably set up a DLC pack for him, potentially about his redemption. And if that's the case, I wouldn't mind at all, and I think it would actually be really cool. Of course, that second post-credit scene could be anything. Heck, Insomniac could even use it to set up Marvel's Wolverine, which so far has been confirmed to be set in the same universe as Marvel's Spider-Man. So if that's also the case, I wouldn't mind that all as well. However, what about you guys? How do you think Marvel Spider-Man 2 is going to end, and what do you think the post-credit scenes will be about? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. If you enjoyed this video, please like, and one more subscribe. To begin, Protocol 36.